north there.
Hey, it's 5:30. I'd like to call the Shoreline Fire Department RFA Board of Commissioner meeting to order for June 11th, 2026. Please join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have Rick Knight that has some speech absence tonight. Public comment. Doug, do you have anything for public comment?
Not today, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Doug. Let's move on then. We've got approval of the past minutes. 3 dates. Let's take May 18th first. Is there any questions or changes? Amendments?
I have a change on May 18th.
Okay,
If we need to make a note that I wasn't there. That's that day.
I have one correction. I have one correction.
Yeah.
Under public comment, the name spelling is MAHREN.
MAHRE. Right. Any other amendments? Hearing none, I declare the minutes approved as amended. Let's go on to May 21st. Any corrections there or amendments? Hearing none, I'll declare those minutes approved as presented. And then we have our May 27th. Any corrections there, amendments? Hearing none, I'll declare those approved as presented. Any correspondence, chief?
No.
Warrants, motion to approve.
Corresponding.
I'll move to accept disbursements in the amount of $3,759,686.89.
The motion by Commissioner Harris. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Commissioner Sullivan. Any questions, concerns, changes? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you, guys. Okay, Commissioner report. Eric, do you have anything? Tyler, do you have anything for Commissioner report? It's like he's trying to figure it out there. Oh, okay. Rod, Commissioner report.
Well, I suppose I could talk about the fact that 5 of us went to the spring seminar in Chelan. And especially on the second day, we had a very good presentation for 6 hours. And it's all to do with basically the culture of the fire department.
Okay,
And it was really good.
6 hours.
That's a very good presentation.
It's a long session.
Yeah, it was well done and entertaining. Well, I mean, sometimes 6 hours is a long time,
Yeah, you have to work at to command that kind
but
of
it
attention.
was good. The morning presentation, I didn't think, for the first day presentation, I was probably that impressed with. And then last night, we had our commissioner meeting. And we got a nice presentation, about the changes in class 1 drugs. And how it could well affect the fire department. And, that was eye-opening. We've got some information for you.
Okay.
Because
Who
they're
gave you
suggesting that we contact our insurance company.
Okay, yeah, I'm guessing it, Dr. McCoy and Strand are both in the loop on this, but yeah, if you have any information, please pass it along.
Yeah, John is a commissioner that gave the class. And he gives classes everywhere, but it was eye-opening. This happened almost overnight. It was really pushed and quickly adopted, so
Oh,
there's some interesting stuff out there,
okay.
so.
Got any nuggets from that presentation?
Well, I didn't bring anything written, but I know she did show everything I'm taught of it. Things like psilocybin and those drugs like that, and even to some extent heroin is going to be. We're gonna run into a lot more than we ever did before, because it's being reclassified.
You mean like less severe?
And well, and it's mainly for psych
treatment.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That'll be interesting.
David, do you have anything? Bart?
I do a little bit of what Rod said.
Yeah, so
Really transforming fire service culture was the topic of the law. Feel fortunate that our culture is where it is. Let's see, there was a lot of commissioner goal. One of the speaker said the #1 commissioner goal is take care of the firefighters. And that starts with a good chief, and what does the chief need? Quite a few of the talks that we've gone to talk about, a good cooperative relationship with the chief, and that we're not there to micromanage. And some of it, I made extra notes, if we end up, Bob ends up coming on, where the things that I've learned, I'll recognize the things they're gonna need to learn. Nothing, and how things are supposed to go, so that was interesting. And also the John Murphy's talk, he recommends, which we probably already have, rigid standards regarding drug use of some of these drugs. Some of the firefighters are gonna be prescribed these drugs. How's that gonna look? Is it a health issue? Is it well, it's a health issue, but workplace issue, like our insurance would cover that or not, or okay. So that's most of it. It's pretty interesting. Basically how to deal with firefighters in an advanced treatment for mental health. If it goes over.
Sorry, route to Chick-fil-A.
Sorry, insurance.
Proceed
Sounds
toward
good.
175th Street.
I'm hungry.
That tastes good.
That's great.
Sorry, but.
I'll turn mine off.
That's Rick's report.
That was it. That was a great conference.
There were 6 of us that went to the conference, not 5. So we'll make that correction. And John Murphy talked about the scheduled drugs 1 through 5. Scheduled drugs, Schedule 1 drugs, heroin, LSD, psilocybin, cannabis, or just to name a few, are starting to be used for treatment for psychological PTSD type things. Very successful down in Mexico. They're releasing it down there, so it's kind of starting to trickle up here. We had a snafu last night with the Zoom. We can share PowerPoints, but John said he'd send something out to us In the meantime, I went back through my emails and last month he sent these out, so I will pass these on to you. He said that we need to take a good look at our policies on drug use and stuff, and revamp them according to the new statutes for
Okay,
Schedule 1 therapeutic use.
all right, thank you for sharing.
Sure. So that's all we got.
Who were the attendees?
For last night,
So, yeah, you said 6.
oh, that was for Lake Chelan.
Oh, okay.
You want, it was
No.
Tyler was
Yeah, I know.
included with,
Yeah, I just, I thought it was.
no,
Okay, thank you.
and Rod and I attended last night's meeting in person, well, virtual from here, Barbara attended it. Virtual from her house. Okay, so much for commissioner report. Financial report.
So, we're still a little, over budget at this point. This is, reflecting now through April. So, I would expect that our May will be forthcoming probably at our next meeting, or early July at the latest. I didn't have a lot of chance to go through this. I skimmed through it. There were a few things there that have, that were more larger purchases or events such as like the Leadership Academy. That affected our overall budget. This wasn't completely surprising. I would like to see us catch up before we get into the summer months necessarily, but we'll see how the next couple months go. As as we lag a little bit. We're entering June, we're in June now, but we're still, the reports from April. I didn't have a lot of time to digest this though, so if it's been a busy week, so if there's something in there that I need to follow up on, please let me know.
So chief on page 1, down towards the bottom. We've got, actually in the middle, Gallatin,
Yes.
we're at 21%. So
There is a different consulting fee that's, I looked into that a couple of meetings ago. This
Yeah,
came up a couple
you
of
did.
meetings ago, and there was, I thought I sent an email out on this. I can double check.
Yeah,
There was something else that was driving that. Gallatin is linear, it's 5,000.
Okay, all right. Disregard.
There was something else in there.
And then down at the very bottom.
Oh, well, one of the notes there, one of the is the, we are paying for a CPA tax consultant and our temp agency.
Oh, okay.
We are currently paying, I won't go and,
Yeah,
we're paying for some other consultant.
Okay.
Sorry, the
I
next.
see
section.
Gallatin, I didn't look at the top one. Good to go passes are at 8%. There's one April.
There is that.
Good to go is way down the bottom, very bottom.
That was page 1. Yeah, but it's 100 bucks.
Or just,
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. No, it's good. It's good.
it's like that. We will need to transfer one money to that one. And facilities equipment on page 6 of towards the top of the page.
Okay.
21%. They've come through the dollars.
Yeah. So high.
That's all I had.
That's, Matt might be able to, like, we have had to buy a bunch of equipment as we've ramped up our facilities work. That might be. It's the facilities equipment,
Page 6.
it was an $18,000 budget, and we've used 14 of it. Didn't we lean into a bunch of equipment for Eric and Ken and?
I'll have to look at the equipment here, I mean, and some of that equipment came out of the. Is it an expense line?
What?
Is it an expense line or?
It's an expense line, not a capital. I know we did some capital too. We'll take a look. We'll take a look.
Also, the tools that we bought for the facilities, capital, but. We can take a look at that, are you making a note of that one?
And yeah, good, thank you.
Okay.
That's what I do.
That's all I have.
That's how I make sure that I. won't That and all. All right, well, thank you.
Moving on then, anything for strategic activity.
That's really everything's in RFA right now.
Let's move on to RFA activity reports. Start with Chief Callens. Well, circle.
Well,
We have something for Chief Callens.
no, it's highlights on something.
Where we what?
What is the process with Bothell right now? Where are we sitting here still?
That's it. I'll give a more thorough update on their whole business. It's an agenda item. Okay.
All right, let's move on to Chief Hookstein if there's nothing for Chief Callens.
Oh, I have one for Chief Hochstein. DFM Louisenberg retirement lunch.
Yeah.
Devon's actually retiring
Yeah,
Did it this morning.
His lunch.
Or today.
today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's here till.
He works tomorrow.
Middle of tomorrow.
Yeah, he's working tomorrow and then that's it,
Wow.
32 years.
Yeah.
At Shoreline.
Wow. Pretty decent attendance too. It was nice to see some of the retired guys showing up for him.
Well,
I do have one update, if there's other questions, I'm happy to answer them, but I also had. An update on the 51 carport capital project, if I can do that now.
Sure.
Good.
sure.
Anders and I have been working on this project for quite a while. Obviously, last year we tried to get that project. It wasn't a capital budget. We realized that we didn't budget enough for it. We thought we had a more accurate number for 2026. And because of the complications of that scope of that project, we brought in TCA, or architectural firm that we have a contract with to help us with the project. They helped us write the scope for the carport project that we included in the RFP that we then sent out using following our financial policy using the MRSC roster. We were looking for a general contractor who could take over this project for us, which would include several trades to get the project done. That went out to 400 general contractors on MRSC, and we received 3 proposals back. One, we received an additional proposal back that was after the deadline. All of them are over budget of what we budgeted for in our capital fund this year. Only one of the proposals I would say was acceptable. The other proposals didn't address a number of things that we requested in the RFP. The one proposal that was acceptable was definitely more thorough. Gets us probably where we want to be. However, the challenges are that it's significantly more than what we thought the cost would come in at. Additionally, the timeline is probably a 9-month process from when we sign the contract to actually getting the work done. So that means a couple things. We have a couple options, and I'm not looking for a decision tonight, but I'm wondering if I can just share some of this information with you, and you guys can consider maybe some future action items how we want to proceed. But obviously we can just shut the thing down because it's over budget. and reevaluate for 2027 as part of the budget planning process. A second option would be a second option would be to use the $150,000 that we budgeted for this year to start the first phases of the project, which is no actual construction, but it's the engineering of the building, it's the down payments, it's the bonds, it's those types of things. It's going to be 7 months before they could actually get a building delivered, or the components delivered on property. And then the general contractor would have to use the iron workers and the concrete guys to work together to get some of that work done, and the electricians. So, but that means that you guys would have to feel comfortable with saying yes to probably funding another couple $100,000 for that project. Before we get to budget season, which I'm not sure is fair, because you don't understand what else is involved in the scope and asks from the department for the budget for next year. Additionally, we want to make sure we probably time the construction of this building to avoid or start right after Fire Academy, which happens at 51 Strowood. We don't probably need the construction of this carport happening simultaneously to the drill ground getting used by 20-something students at a camp. I guess that's just a very brief overview of the process. We were disappointed to not have more responses, especially sending out to 400 contractors. But I'm open to questions or thoughts.
Did so the proposal that went out, did it have a proposed budget or just had a spec of the kind of what we're trying to build?
We didn't want to put the budget in there because at the recommendation of the architects, we were like, let's see what people come with, right? Sure. So we had a pretty detailed spec, and we wanted to see what they came up with as a result.
And this is just in general, this is a carport to house how many vehicles?
It would be across the entire south side of the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
On the upper parking along the fence line. So you probably think that 20 spots almost.
And that was including some power supplies.
Yeah.
This proposal that it would the contractor that I'm talking about that came back the best would include drainage, the gutters and downspouts, and engineering and the installation of this building, as well as lighting. It would be an additional $75,000 for all the electrical outlets for like future hookups for EV or plug-in or battery charged vehicles, right? So that also does not include the cost of the second component of this project of a covered cover over the sidewalk behind it between the fence and the parking. That's another option that could be included, but that's an additional fee too.
Another option that we're considering is, because it is over budget, is maybe we just look at a pared down version of not worrying about lighting, not worrying about power, not worrying about some of these other things, and just build the structure to protect our vehicles to start. But we're exploring our options. So I'm glad you're bringing this up so that they can start, so the board can start thinking about what this might look like. But we need to come back with some more options for it.
Just out of the box, another concept, just seeing where that thing's situated. If we're redesigning the whole thing, it could be also a good spot for a lot of solar panels.
Yeah,
that was actually on the.
It wasn't the spec that this building it needed to be able to support the future solar panels.
That was actually the vision originally, was to put solar panels all along that, because it would be south facing, and if we sloped it towards the sidewalk, especially so. But it's a and I've said this before, it's an interesting environment out there. And I'm sure Rick knows about this better than anybody. It's a really interesting environment out there for building anything, buying anything and so forth. And so,
I think, Chief, you're right, I think, and I just wanted to just let you, because I know Rick, you and I had talked about this project, you and I, Anders, have talked about this project. But I just wanted, it's one of the larger capital projects that we had planned for this year. I think, as Chief said, I think, we'll go back and, I just wanted to update you where we were since the RFP was back at hand. We'll come back with some, maybe a recommendation, for something, you know, more thorough, and then we can go from there at that time.
and this might be like a multi-year kind of phase project too, potentially. So, yeah, thanks.
Is it just a roof or is there a wall along that sidewalk or?
No wall, it's just
one roof?
just the columns and the roof.
Will the wind blow through it and wet the cars anyway?
There's enough overhang that, I mean, yes, I mean, depending on how big this.
It never blows and
Yes.
rains at the same time. What are you talking about?
It would capture, it would protect.
This is not gonna fully protect our vehicles. This is gonna protect us from a lot of the UV and from the rain that falls straight down.
Well, looking at the vouchers, we need some protection from the critters.
True.
Can we reduce our fleet by 20 vehicles?
No. No way.
No, if anything, it'll increase.
That's good though. I like it.
Okay. Perhaps more on the subject.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chief. All right, Chief Worms. Seems to disappear. I see him on the way out,
He doubled up on commitments tonight.
giving him a bad time. We can't.
Well, you have my permission to do that anytime.
Okay.
I have a question, actually.
Not that you need mine.
What's what happens, I guess, a Swedish stroke EMS collaborative meeting? What's,
I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming that this was a discussion over Swedish over stroke protocols and implementation. Do you know anything about this, Ben? I don't know anything about it.
Where is that on?
It's towards the bottom, Swedish stroke EMS collaboration meeting. Maybe they might be talking about, there are certain hospitals that that meet the CBA protocols, the stroke protocols. This might be a discussion about what Swedish does or does not do.
okay.
I don't know what you mean. Oh.
I'm guessing it's a hospital. That's what you
Let's get this stroke.
my guess.
Is there anything else for Chief Worms? Virtual group, Lisa, Tyler, and Josh, do you have anything?
I do not.
Okay, thank you, Lisa.
You're welcome.
And Tyler's there. Okay, let's move on to old business, Chief, regional, Bothell. No, Snowtown.
Well, it's both. So this gets back, so I put it as an agenda because it's a pretty robust, or there potentially could be a pretty robust conversation about it. I will try and be brief, but then, certainly if you have any questions or anything about this, please let me know. Last week, I'm gonna start with Bothell. Last week, the city council met and powered the continuation of Bothell pursuing the RFA and to prepare a resolution for this week to formally ask the board for consideration about joining the RFA. I did get the signed resolution today that they passed this week to do so. That is the first of like 3 steps, the back and forth that we've talked about a little bit. They asked to join. We develop all the positions, collaborate and align on what the positions are, develop the governing documents. I, brief you guys and then prepare those governing documents for you to take a look at it. If you are in agreement on it, then you approve that by resolution to go back to the city council. Then they consider that package and all that, and then do a resolution to put it onto the ballot.
What's the time frame on all that process?
Good question. This is all gonna happen over about the next month or 5 weeks. Ish, depending on how fast we can get to a collaboration on the positions.
Do you need action from us this evening?
No, this is all a briefing at this point, just to give you an update on where we're at and what's going on. And so that's the process where we're at now that they passed that resolution. I've already had a meeting yesterday with Kyle Stannard, the city manager at Quan, the finance director, talking about the positions, the 14, you've seen the 14 things that need to be discussed. Really, in my mind, there's only probably about 4 that are of, that will really warrant more robust conversation or deliberation on. So we talked about the timeline, we talked about what this process looks like. It was a good meeting, it was a productive meeting, it helped, I think, because I think there was some misunderstanding from Kyle about what that process was, because he was talking about, well, we need to have an ILA to develop, what these positions, how are you gonna do the finance, what the finances look like, the operations level of service, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's all in the governing documents. It's all captured. You guys all know this because you've seen it. And I've sent that to them before. I sent it to them again yesterday. And I said, here's what was done with the North Shore RFA. These are the governing documents that we will modify with the positions that we align on, or that we think we've aligned on, and then for the RFA board to consider. So we met yesterday and we talked about that. We talked about the timeline. We started to talk about some of the positions, a lot of the why behind, what I have proposed, as far as positions go. He's gonna work with Quan to most of them are pertain to the financial, impacts and so forth. If I was to, put my finger on the things that I think, that we really need to land on, those more robust conversations. It's, what kind of transfer of operational reserves, what kind of transfer for asset replacement, seed money. What are we doing with the left one liabilities? What are we doing, and what's the overall financial impact before and after to the taxpayers of Bothell? Which we really don't have a say in that, because it's really, that part's driven by what are they going to do with the property tax levy rate before and after. It's at 78.3 cents right now for their general fund. What's it going to drop to? Is it going to drop all the way commensurate with whatever the impacts are of the RFA, or somewhere in between and all that? That's not our decision, but we have, through this process, I'm going to hopefully, have some influence on that, but it's not our decision. That is a city decision. So I feel like those are the hotter topics, if you will, that we still need to land on. We talked about a few of those and the why behind, for example, like the asset replacement strategy, the operational reserves, the left one liabilities. I don't understand what a pre-left, maybe somebody here can help me out. What is a pre-left one retiree? I don't know what that is, but they have 2 current left one retirees, not 9, which is what I originally was told, and maybe they were looking at police as well or something. So the liability is not as bad as I thought, but I still told them my preferred approach is that they keep their left one liabilities and continue to pay for those out of the reserves that the city has, because if not, I'm still going to use the GASB 75 model to determine what that liability looks like and that transfer of money, and they probably won't be excited about what that number is. And I said, but that's going to be whatever that number is the number. So they're considering that as well.
So with regard to the left one liability, the left one liability is a potential liability. It's like,
correct.
It's kind of worst case scenario, we're going to pay this much. So
Sure, yeah,
they might, I don't know if you made that argument with them already, but they might in fact, even if they retain the liability, they might actually end up spending less money than if they gave us the money for the worst case scenario. So that could be a better situation for them.
Yeah, and I've articulated that. I think at the end of the day that they'll probably see that same reasoning. I hope. Again, if they want to pass it off, that's fine. I just don't think they're going to like what I'm going to have to require from them to absorb that liability, because you're absolutely correct. the gas that looks at the worst case or especially when you're looking about assisted nursing facility, the cost of that's really what drives the big number. And they won't be excited about what that number is.
And if it's only two, possibility is they don't end up having to spend that.
Yeah, and we talked about a couple of other things too. I clarified, which was again nice to have this meeting to clarify, some of what they had some misunderstanding about, like for example, the vacation and sick leave hours. We've talked about that, and at one point they somehow thought that anytime that a legacy Bothell employee called in sick or vacation and caused overtime, that we were going to charge them for it. I'm like, no, this is just that separation and whatever that cash out is. And to your point too, Eric, is that somebody comes over with, I don't know, I'll just make 100 hours of vacation and they retire in a year. Well, they could use 100, all that vacation and the cash out is very minimal, or they could continue not use any of it and it continue to build on it and it could be up. But again, we're gonna if we can't agree to some time frame of where we're gonna invoice them for whatever that cash out is, then I'm gonna have to tell them a number of, like we did with North Shore. I'm gonna tell them a number of what it's gonna take to address the liability as it currently sits in 2026. I felt like this was a way to kind of again allow them to absorb a bigger hit, a smaller hit, or whatever, but they can absorb it in that bigger reserve that they have for the entire city. The difference here is that we have different buckets for different things like benefits, capital, rainy day, operational reserves. And they put a lot of it into just like one big bucket. And I said, I would strongly suggest that you manage your own, liabilities that way, and that way you can kind of amortize it across all of your different needs instead of cutting it out. But these are the things. Again, I think some of these are really pretty easy, but a couple of them I think will be some talking points. And again, I was able to articulate some of the why behind it, which was it was a good start. We have some other meetings coming up. As we continue with this and we start to land on these things, I'll definitely brief you all, and then I'll start redline editing the governing documents and show you what I'm doing that's different than what we have existing. So it's more obvious, what we're changing. So that's Bothell. Any questions about Bothell?
I have one more question. I was just thinking big picture, I think it's with the apparatus and capital facilities, contributions that we're asking for them. I guess I feel like we're accommodating to a degree already, in terms of what we're asking, because they have new fire stations and new apparatus and so on. But I guess what I'm wondering is that something that we can or would want to be flexible on at all? In other words, if that was like a deal breaker for them, that they could only contribute X amount, but we determined that the savings of having the larger thing go forward is worth it. Would we be willing to accept a smaller contribution if it was necessary for the advancement of the RFA?
It's a great question and point. As we continue to develop whatever these positions are, I will come back and that will be a decision that the board will need to make as to what's palatable, what's not, what are we holding to, what ground are we going to hold ourselves to or not, where are we flexible, where we're not. But that's a board decision. That's not it's not Kyle's decision necessarily either. I'm just trying to, help develop the why and the position that I think would work. And then it's up to you all to decide, what that final decision of what that looks like. And you asked a question and I didn't completely answer it too, of like, what does it look like? The timeline. It's possible that I will know in 2 weeks what our positions are, and I'll have modified the governing documents for you to consider, but I don't know if I'll be it'll depend on really what kind of progress we make over these next couple of weeks. But certainly we will need to have this all buttoned up and done, unless we're going to hold a special meeting by that first meeting in July. So that it gives enough time for us to approve it and give it back to the city council to approve it at their end. and then put it onto the, by resolution to the ballot before August 4th. Does that make sense? Okay. Let's switch to, if there's any other questions about Bothell. Okay, Snow 10. So Snow 10 is at a similar place with their progress that they had a special meeting last Friday evening where I've shared with you that I've been trying to get them to discuss this and make a decision for quite some time. And they've been kind of pushing this off, waiting for Bothell to make a more definitive decision. Well, as Bothell has started to make those definitive decisions, they are now excited about trying to figure out what they're going to do. They had a meeting on Friday evening. They decided they want to move forward as well. And so I do on Monday, no, Tuesday, because I was in interviews all day Monday. So on Tuesday, I developed a resolution for them to consider, very similar. I used Bothell's as a template. Very similar to what Bothell had done as far as a resolution to formally ask to join the RFA, to bring that to you all as well. They weren't ready to make that decision as quickly because I gave it to them that afternoon. I didn't think it was realistic for them to act on that. They have another meeting in a week and a half, and I expect them to pass a resolution asking for the same thing that Bothell is, which is to join the RFA. So as I continue to build the positions for what to address Bothell's and that collaboration, I will also be including language for Snow 10 to be joining those governing documents as well. A lot different with Snow 10 because the likelihood, and I think they pretty much landed on this at our meeting on Tuesday, where Snow 10 will dissolve at the effective date of joining the RFA. So the transfer of assets and funds and all that, we don't have to identify those funds and all that because everything would just transfer in at that time. Similar to like North Shore last year. And they started asking some questions about governing and seats on the board and what's this and that and with their district dissolving and no longer having electeds, that makes it very difficult. And I don't think the scalability, especially if you look at AV or population served, that warrants a seat on the RFA board, but that's not my decision. That is yours. I'm trying to, again, to take what I can believe is a plausible position for them. And what I suggested was that one of the things that they're very super passionate about is doing the full remodel of Station 44, which is up in the northwest corner of Bothell. And I said, you can be on an advisory board to help manage that because it'll almost be done by the time that they would join the RFA. We can address your positions on the advisory board, but understand too that of the 3 commissioners that are there, Scott Kim is one of them. He cannot be on the board after the effective date. So, or on the district board. So even if the District 10 didn't dissolve, they would have to fill his position. The other 2 commissioners are interested and are excited and are ready to be done. As commissioners, they want to see this happen. They want to see the regionalization happen. They want to see the station remodel happen, and then they want to be, done. So I believe where we'll end up there is that the District 10 board the District 10 will dissolve at the time that it becomes when they join the RFA, which cleans up a lot of these other questions and these positions. So, yeah, sorry.
What's the legality of that, or how and why does it happen since North Shore District didn't dissolve?
There was a difference though with North Shore District 16. There was a need for District 16 to exist, to have an elected commissioner sitting on our RFA board. That's one reason. The other, you have an UTGO, a capital bond that still needs to be completed and paid off. So you need the district needs taxing authority to be able to collect that revenue.
So is it just part of the voter language in Snow 10's district that if they join the RFA that the fire district dissolves?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It would.
It's just part of the vote. It's part of what they vote on.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. That's where I'm
That's
believing that we're going to end up. this was again, as you can imagine, this is a passion point for them, a decision, a weighty decision. I think that's where they're at. They did not land entirely on that decision, but I think that that's where they're at. And so that would be in that language for the ballot measure. Additionally, it would likely include conditional language, concurrent, if we're going on a concurrent ballot measure in November with Bothell, that it would be conditional upon Bothell joining. I say that and some of the things that it would be conditional upon don't necessarily apply to District 10. It would be more of an impact if Bothell said no. It'd be more of an impact on Bothell if Bothell said no, Snow 10 said yes. However, I'm trying to, again, be sensitive to, the different nuances of this, and so we'll see how that plays out too. So the timeline that I just shared with you on Bothell is this very similar timeline to the Snow 10 process. They have a meeting in not this next Tuesday, but the Tuesday after that, so another week and a half. I expect that the resolution that Bothell passed will be a very similar one that Snow 10 will pass at that time. And then again, depending on where we're at with the collaboration of positions with Bothell, I will incorporate not only those positions, but anything that we have to do to address, Snow 10 will be in all these those governing documents for you all to consider. Okay.
Moving on to new business then.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So, for the CAO process, the recruitment update, I will try to be brief, and then if you have questions about this, happy to elaborate on anything. The short version on this, and I'm going to push out an email, hopefully tonight, kind of explaining some of this, and then I want to have an administrative staff meeting next Tuesday to have a more direct conversation and allow for questions and answers and so forth. We had over 50 applicants for the position. They got reviewed down to 30, then interviewed by 12 GMP Consulting, which is the group that we contracted with. They did 12 interviews. Both and I met with Debbie Terry, you might recognize the name. She was the past city manager for Shoreline. She now works for GMP Consulting. So it's kind of nice to see her again and all that. We met with her, chose 4 to bring to interviews. We interviewed them on Monday. Thanks, Kim, for spending the day with us. Had a panel interview down here, an executive interview upstairs, and it was interesting to see the 4 candidates. They all had very strong strengths in different areas. And it was interesting to look at the candidates and all that. We didn't seem to have a real clear choice out of them. Did some deeper digging over the next day. I was thinking that I was going to make a decision that night. We decided to sleep on it. Then we did some deeper digging on references and so forth, reviews, further reflection and considerations of what the right path forward was for the organization. And ultimately, we decided that we were not going to hire any of the 4, and that we were going to pivot a little bit in our next steps. I'll just share that our plan at this point will be to elevate the 2 positions that the CAO was going to supervise, which was a finance director and an HR director. And we will elevate those 2 positions a little bit up and have them sit on the executive team as directors. My span of control, instead of overseeing 3, will be overseeing 4 director level positions. And that the finance director position will be an administrative finance director. We haven't landed exactly on that title yet, but we're working on it. And that will address a lot of our needs, and it will eliminate. There are some pros and cons to everything. Some of the pros are they would have direct reporting to the executive team and myself from the administrative director and the HR director. And there would be a direct conduit back down from the executive team and from my office back down to these silos, these divisions. There would be a presence on the executive team, so that all of the deputy chiefs and directors and so forth would all have cross-pollination of communication and experience and exposure to what the other divisions are doing, so that removes a layer of bureaucracy, which might be a good thing. The downside is that those positions will not have a CAO as a relief valve anymore. They will have seats at the executive team, that they will be at the top of those silos, short of the fire chief, of me. And my span of control grows, but it's not growing to 8 or 10, it's growing to 4, director levels, and I will now directly oversee Beatrice, who was going to be a direct report to the CAO. There are pieces of that CAO position that we were going to remove and chop up anyway, but now we are coming up with a new plan on how that will be reallocated. For example, there is a piece of what BOPA does now, which is HR. We were planning on moving to the HR director position anyway, but there's also public records officer duties, there's board secretary duties, there's a number of different duties, and so we're working on a plan to be able to address that. We will be moving forward immediately. Well, we were already moving forward with the HR director position, but we were trying to stagger that so that the HR director position would be hired after the CAO was on board, so that the CAO could be part of the interviews. But now that there's no CAO, there's no need to delay that process, so we'll be moving forward as quickly as we can with that. We are already reaching towards the end of the background check on the receptionist position, so that position will be coming on here fairly quickly. We are close, I think, in non-uniform CBA negotiations and finalizing an admin assistant job position or job description, and then we'll fill that position as quickly as we can too. Another thing that we had looked at doing in 2027 was an HR specialist position, and so we think that we will probably move forward on that. Not immediately, but fairly quickly. Again, we'll stagger that until after the HR director is on board too. I know there's a lot of moving parts to what I just said. It's a lot of different things. I don't have an updated organizational chart. I've changed it about 7 times now over the last few days. I will have one for you at your next meeting, to be able to identify exactly what this looks like. This has, again, some benefits for us and all that. And we felt as an executive team that this was the right decision at this time moving forward. We did take a few days to deliberate about this and to investigate a little deeper and really kind of reflect on what our needs were and all that. But this is how we want it. Probably a lot to unpack there. So I will need to modify the 2 director position, those job descriptions as well. And we said, just FYI, although we'll be saving money on the CAO position, I will elevate the salaries for the 2 director positions a little bit. Not all the way up to a CAO level, but somewhere in between. And I'll be coming back to with those job descriptions and new contracts as well.
So you're gonna do a search for 2 directors?
Well, we already have Rachel right now is our administrative director overseeing finance. The plan originally was by the end of this year was to slowly phase her into just finance, because we're gonna have the CAO. But now that we don't have the CAO, she will have some administrative oversight too. So we're still playing with what that title looks like, but she will still oversee finance, but also some administrative responsibilities as well. We had thank you for asking, because I forgot to tell you this. We had 50 applicants for the HR director position. They met right before this meeting, late this afternoon, to talk about what that process looks like. I believe they're at 30 people going to video interviews, but that job expectation now has changed, because it was an HR director position answering to a CAO along with the finance director position. Now the CAO is gone, so we're elevating both those positions. We want to be completely transparent and make sure that everybody understands what that looks like. So that is a higher level of responsibility. I believe that if you're already applying for an HR a director position, that extra responsibility probably wouldn't scare anybody, but it might. But it's possible. I would think that most people would look at that as a positive thing. I have a direct conduit to the fire chief now. I have a seat on the executive team. Most people I would think would look at that as a positive thing, but we also want to make sure that we're being sensitive to what those applicants were expecting and not just assume. So that's part of this pivot will be to do some outreach to those applicants.
I like pivots.
So
That's a big pivot.
it's not huge, but it's substantial. I mean, it's the part that's not huge is that the silos that we were already talking about are still remain. It's just now there's no CAO, so that it's direct reports to myself and the rest of the exec team. That's the biggest change.
So no one internally wanted to do CAO.
Correct.
Correct. But yet they're being elevated to somewhat CAO status anyway,
Kind of.
even though
Some of
they
the
didn't
aspects.
want to.
Yeah, well, some of the aspects, I don't want to speak for our personnel and the why or why not, but I will say that the CAO position had a higher level of responsibility because they were going to oversee both HR and finance. And there might have been some pieces to that were not as attractive to our internal candidates. On the added bonus of them both those positions sitting on the executive team is what I mentioned, the cross pollination of communication, experience, exposure on all that, which I think might be attractive to some people. Again, and so I think I've had some one-on-one conversations with some of our people, and I believe that they're all supportive of this path. We still need to live through the next couple of months because we were going to bring a CAO that was going to bring in some workload gap and coverage when both retire or resigns at the end of this month. So we'll have a gap between the end of this month and whenever we have the HR director on, coming on, which will probably be late July, early August. So there'll be a gap there that we will need to address. And so we're working on those steps too, to make sure that we're not shooting ourselves in the foot, so to speak. Good question.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on then to our last agenda item, projected agendas.
Pancake feed,
Saturday,
Saturday, 2 days.
I'll be over.
It's gonna be nice and cool, like 58 degrees.
yeah. At night. Do you know what time it starts, Chief?
I'm supposed to be there at 7.
Starts at 9.
30, I think it's
Email
starting
said
around
they
9.
want volunteers at 7.
Something like that.
I'm not sure I'll get there at 7,
Schedule.
but I'll get there before 9.
Son get out the door.
There's a lot of setup.
This year-
I'm shooting for being there at 7:30.
This year we need to have.
I don't, it doesn't.
Pancake.
I don't
They-
know, they just.
They didn't.
Oh,
Yeah, that was a lot of pancake.
Hey, Matt,
Are you
we just-
gonna be there flipping pancakes?
I'm sorry.
starts at 9.
Come for a little bit. I've got.
Do you have something?
I'm actually bringing some
Can
young kids for
time we show up.
the first start.
That-
now.
I wanna say she's asking for volunteers.
Pancakes later. Yeah. Take over
That
for
and
somebody.
7:30.
I had plans
something
to,
like
but.
that. You're.
The email said 7.
Tomorrow morning.
Oh.
7 to help set up, and then 9 o'clock. I guess. So.
Anyway, sorry.
I'm gonna be absent, I'm gonna be black eyed.
Yeah.
I better stay home, take care
Yeah,
of
setup starts at 7.
couple of days.
Ben, I believe is in the
If,
Okay, thank you.
So I have a question on the,
Webster, on that, okay.
so on June 25th, I may be absent or by virtual.
Oh,
Let's put you, yeah.
And one other question I have is, I don't see the district meetings. We have a separate sheet for that, for the fire district meetings,
It was canceled.
Cancel this.
all of them.
No,
Or last month and this month, the North Shore meetings were canceled.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we start next month, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and
We,
We don't have.
May,
projected
June.
agendas this group. 15 minute, I don't know, yeah. This is their RFA.
Okay.
That could be this one.
Anybody else? Anything else?
I did, I forgot something, I remind me of when we start talking about projected agendas. One of the asks from the Snow 10 board was, yeah, a meeting with some or all of the RFA board. And I suggested that if they want to have all three of them attend an RFA board meeting, that would be fine. That would represent a quorum for them, so they would have to declare that, or if one of them wants to attend our RFA board meeting, that would be fine. And I also offered, I said, if you want me to, I can ask if there's one or two or more, so it's not more than 5 of you that want to attend the Snow 10 board meeting. And that would be fine too, but I think it's it's cool that they want to start developing a relationship with you. I think we're in a very time compressed situation now. But if any of you are interested in that, I can explore what that looks like. Their next board meeting will be not this next Tuesday, but the Tuesday after. So that would be the 23rd, I believe. Or I can invite them to come to our next RFA board.
whatever.
You have feelings.
Since you've gone to ours.
Money to ours, I think that'd be good.
Okay.
Because then we're all here to answer questions now.
Yeah, and I'll see if it's one, fine. If not, then we'll just declare a special meeting for them and to join. I will, Beatrice, I'll work with you on.
Yeah, and what I'm just again reminding everyone, like the next few meetings are all special meetings, and so.
So we have to define the agenda early.
Notice
If
where
we
we
have
have.
an issue, we might put on there, we gotta get it. Either way.
So the good news is the next meeting is at 51 too, so. So it'll make it easier for them to attend.
We're going back to projected agenda.
It's a projected agenda thing.
Sorry. I will be absent August 20th. I'll try to do virtual, but I can't. And then who will cover your? Eric,
Vice.
you're vice chair, aren't you?
Yes,
Can you cover?
on August 20th, yes.
All right, if there is nothing further, it's 6:33. The meeting is ended.
Thank you.
You threw out this, chief.
What's that?
There's a lot of information you threw out.
Yeah, there are a lot of moving parts going on right now. It's kind of crazy.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh, no.